Hi, welcome back to Bride Society. I'm Laura and this is Rebecca. So I'm afraid to almost mention this, but we are getting close to the end of the year. So we're looking forward and we're doing our annual wedding trends, well this time for 2020. So a whole new decade. Yeah. The roaring 20s, some might say. I don't know. So you probably, I mean, if you're already engaged, you're probably already thinking about your wedding either in 2020, 21, whatever.
Even 22 maybe.
I can't even think that far ahead.
Incomprehensible. Yeah.
So we thought we'd talk through some of the trends we've been seeing, either continuing from this year and we think will kind of get even bigger for the next year. So yeah,
starting to evolve.
Yes.
So the first big thing, which we've started to touch on in the last year as well, is about sustainability. Now, you've probably noticed in society around you that there's been a much bigger drive towards sustainability, sort of eco-friendly way of thinking about things, and that's started to filter through into weddings. Like the wedding industry is catching up to that, and that's not only in terms of the choices that brides making, but also the suppliers that are coming on the scene as well, which have those kind of green credentials as well.
Yeah, there's certainly now definitely a group of suppliers who are really marketing themselves as kind of more eco-friendly, be it kind of stationers using recycled materials more so, or florists. There's lots of florists who are either kind of signing up or are already starting to avoid using floral foam in their arrangements because that's not good for the environment. And there's lots of different ways around it as well for flowers. You don't need to use it.
Yeah, no, and you can even shift all the way into using maybe living plants and that kind of thing as your decor. And actually, like in terms of these tips as well, so we've been talking about it a bit more in the last year, and you can find a whole video on its own all about sustainability, eco-friendly wedding tips and ideas, and how you might like to incorporate those into your day. So we'll put that in the description box below, so do check that out.
But another tip we just thought we'd touch on in this video as well, because it is becoming more of a trend, and not necessarily just for sustainability reasons, but it's certainly a part of that, is more plant-based food in weddings, and not just your kind of alternative. For like the one or two vegans who might be at your wedding, you need to think about them, but just for everybody, just have it more generally. I think there are so many more options nowadays for really delicious food that doesn't have to include meat.
And continuing on the food track, but not so much on the sustainability end, but just moving on. I think like we've seen an increase in maybe ideas about like grazing tables. So we're talking about sort of the evening reception food. So you kind of had your wedding breakfast, as we call it in the UK, and then you have like the evening food. And so traditionally here, like that's always been like hog roast, maybe some like fish and chip type of burgers, like those type of things. But yeah, grazing tables are kind of a more like sophisticated kind of take on it.
Kind of a really fancy stylized buffet.
Yes. Yeah.
So people can pick and choose what they want, but it also just looks really aesthetically pleasing as well, which isn't what it's all about, but it is something that an added bonus.
At least at the start anyway, before it's picked over.
Yeah, and I'm definitely seeing more companies are offering grazing tables as part of their kind of services. And it's not even just limited maybe to the evening, but I've also seen it as part of like dessert tables and cake tables. They have you have your cake, and then you also have a grazing cakey bits as well. So
sounds alright to me. And then moving on to decor, we were thinking about decoration. We feel like we've been seeing a lot more in terms of like pampas grass, neutrals, like dry flowers, like that kind of like simplicity, natural tone to the people's day. Like it's more understated, but still really styled and beautiful. But yeah, just those kind of that softer.
Yeah, that really kind of pared back colour scheme. Well, you're really kind of keeping it to the creams and the neutrals, so it isn't really what I would call a colour scheme.
Yeah, I feel like it's an evolution of the boho look.
Yes, I would agree with that. But maybe a bit more luxe in the way that you can do it, and it can be really effective even if you just had kind of few dried flowers, seed pods, things like that in like bottles dotted around on your tables with some really natural, beautiful fabrics as maybe like your table runners, things like that. There's loads of different inspiration for that style. It's kind of almost if you're in the desert and I don't know, those kind of colours. Just kind of a really pared back, simple colour scheme, but something that's really, I think, becoming more popular.
Yeah.
And then moving away from that completely.
Conversely, like on the other, so I suppose things have just gone one end of the spectrum to the other is what we're saying. So the other end of the spectrum, we're thinking like there's these bold colours, like bold, bright, like there's a lot of people getting like braver in that sense. So not just a sort of like pastel kind of gentle soft tones that you maybe first associate with weddings, but more like neon, vivid, really strong colour choices. So another kind of more themey type thing that we've seen come about is more of like a celestial theme, so like moon, stars, and in the shape of like backdrops. So I know when we think about backdrops, we quite often think like photo booth, which we've all seen done, but talking more maybe for like behind the top table, the sweetheart table, or by the entrance as people come in as they're having like photographs as they arrive kind of thing. So these kind of backdrops, so like I've seen a company who has it sort of quite a sort of, again, industrial looking frame, and then the sort of flower heads creating like a moon shape, that kind of thing. Those type of ideas in the background, and then maybe some like text written on the screen, because again, that this whole text signage, I feel, has been a big push of recent times. So like saying things like happily ever after, or Mr. and Mrs. X, all these kind of whatever you want, and you know, the sort of big signage. I don't know what. Yeah,
it is signage, and like typography, and just not just I don't know, obviously we've all seen kind of the letters that you can spell out, like surname or
like
love, or so it's kind of again moving on from that, taking that one step further.
I feel like it's quite a sophisticated thing, and as well that you could put in your home afterwards, so it has that kind of secondary use around the home, and nice keepsake. Moon celestial, and even like I think I've seen it built a little bit into attire, in the sense that I feel like I've seen a bit more sort of like sparkle and maybe like stars, sequin type things popping up from time to time, and maybe like in headwear and stuff.
And I feel like that could also work maybe better in the colder months, possibly. I just feel
you've got the darker nights, so you start to think about night.
I'm thinking like navy crushed velvet suits for men, things like that. I don't know, I'm probably going too far into this now, but I've got a whole vision in my head. But yeah, definitely, I think as themes go, I mean, weddings don't have to have themes, but they're like kind of the three main trends that we're definitely seeing, and I think we'll see a lot more of next year. As well as something that can maybe come in as decor, but using different materials. So we've talked about in kind of the neutral Pampas grass dry flowers, like natural materials, industrial metals, things like that, but using maybe materials that you wouldn't necessarily think of for maybe like on your day stationery. So traditionally where that would be maybe like card or paper, there's a lot more of like acrylic see-through table plans, table numbers. We've seen that a bit in last year or two, but I think again it's been used more and more with even, I mean, I used like a plinth recently at a wedding fair and had some flowers inside it and a cake on the top, so for like a cake display, floral displays, things like that. So just thinking outside the box of what you can use as part of your wedding, because there aren't any limitations. Using the different materials and bringing them together. Like you say, like even what we were saying with the like Pampas grass and metals, like that kind of sort of jarring of ideas, but it kind of makes it quite modern and works. I think wedding stylists aren't a new concept, but I think we're also now seeing, and next year we'll see more styled weddings. So it's not just my colour scheme's kind of purple and
then everything's purple.
there's these people are having styled weddings, almost kind of branded weddings, that their personalities are shining through. Someone comes in and understands kind of the concept and styles everything. It doesn't all necessarily have to match. It just kind of works together. And maybe that was before, when people hired stylists, it was maybe for either the ceremony venue or just your reception room where you're going to have your wedding breakfast. But it's now different areas, so anywhere where your guests might be. So kind of a welcome area is a bit more styled, and an outside space you might also include that. So it's kind of just including the whole venue and surroundings as part of that.
Yeah. And in terms of attire, we started to touch on this earlier. Maybe in this sort of sparkles and this kind of navies and things, but headwear.
Yeah.
Yes. So we all know sort of, well, guests, I suppose, in the UK are kind of known for, the women anyway, wearing like bird cages on their heads, essentially, fascinators and hats and things. And obviously, like as a bride, you sort of typically got the hot like veil, maybe a tiara type situation. Recent years, maybe more so these sort of beaded like hair clip bands, which I really love as well. But
I think there's definitely a trend coming through for something a bit more, not out there, but different. So be it kind of fabric headbands, a bit like this one, but slightly less leopard print in yellow.
That would be a brave choice on your own.
So headbands, but not your traditional kind of beaded or diamante ones. Crowns, and I'm not talking about tiaras, like actual like amazing crowns. I mean, I think you've got to be a certain kind of person to feel confident, and
so you can pull it off.
I mean, well, if you're confident enough, you can pull anything off, but I don't think I'm cool enough to be able to pull something like that off.
You have to be a bit more edgy.
But there's so many more options, and I think we'll see a lot more of something. So maybe brides foregoing veils, as much as I love a veil, for something a bit more.
But were you not, for your wedding, like, was the veil an afterthought? Like, had you always thought, I'm going to wear a veil? Or was that something that came later? Like,
no, I think I wanted to wear a veil.
Okay.
And I always wanted a long veil, and it just so happened that you had one I could borrow.
Handy. No, so I was just thinking about it because we were talking about headwear, and I remember thinking that I probably wouldn't want a veil, and then it was just that I then tried one on. I was like, oh, come on, I'll try it on, and then I suddenly felt really bridal. But I never tried any other kind of headpieces on, so I wonder if you still get the same kind of feeling when you put these things on.
You have a veil and something else for later on.
There you go. So. Yeah, because actually the veil is very much ceremony, because I found, and I don't know if you found this because you wore the exact same one, so you might have done, is that because like ours were quite long, is that then as soon as after the ceremony and you're greeting people and hugging you and stuff, like either people would be standing on it at the end of it, or they'd put your arm around you and your head would jerk back constantly because obviously it's attached to your head. Someone goes to hug you here and it pulls it. So yeah, I guess you wouldn't have that issue with like
you'd get spiked potentially from
It's like, you can't ruin my hair, dude, because I'm keeping you away. Anyway, I digress. So anyway, I think that was all our ideas anyway. So we hope you liked the video. Give us a thumbs up if you did. Please hit subscribe. We hope that's helpful. Let us know if you've got any other video requests, and otherwise we will see you next time.